Hello, Creative Gems. Welcome back to Creativity. And if you're new here, I'm Sandy. Today I'm back with another cardboard box craft. As you can see, this box is a little beat up, but we're going to make the most of it and transform this box into a pedestal that can be used to display your decorative home decor items such as candle holders, trays, and storage boxes. But it doesn't stop there. By the time we're done, this box will actually have a dual purpose as I'll be able to use this as a vase as well. So you can see that at the bottom of this box, it's not very stable. So what I'm going to do is to improve the integrity and strength of this box, I'm going to start by making the bottom stronger. And to do that, I've got a piece of foam board that I'm going to cut to size so we can insert the foam piece inside the bottom of the box. I've already gone ahead and drawn out the shape of the box bottom and marked it up on my piece of foam board. And now I'll use a box cutter as well as a ruler as a guide in order to be able to cut the piece out. And one tip I would offer is that when you cut the foam board out, I would cut on the inside edge so you know for sure the foam board will be able to fit inside the box. Otherwise, you may need to trim it afterwards. Also, if you're really worried about the bottom of your box or you plan to place heavy items inside your box, you could opt to place two pieces of foam board or even a piece of wood panel inside instead. But for my purposes, one piece of foam board will suffice. And the other thing you could do is hot glue the foam board to the bottom of the box if you are really worried about it falling out. But if you have sized your foam board correctly, that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so I have the foam board piece inside and the box looks good. The bottom is no longer unstable, so we're going to go ahead and continue reinforcing the rest of the box. Now I'm focusing on the opening of the box. As you saw, the lid for this box is pretty beat up, and because I don't think there's any way to salvage it, I'm simply cutting the lid off with my box cutter. Now I'm going to go ahead and double check all the seams. See here how the seam is starting to come apart? I'll go ahead and fix that by applying a bit of hot glue in between the seams. Make sure you don't apply too much though, because we don't want any excess hot glue oozing out. I'll just hold this together for a few seconds to allow the hot glue to cool. And as for the two large side flaps and the third smaller one adjacent to them, I'm going to keep those intact, but I'll fold each of them down and hot glue them to the box. By keeping those flaps, they will help strengthen the integrity of the box. And while I work on that, I would like to take a moment to thank you for tuning in to today's craft project. If you enjoy glam home decor and DIY crafts on a budget, please let me know by hitting the subscribe button. And if you like what you see today, please give me a thumbs up as well so YouTube will continue to recommend my channel to other viewers like you. Okay, so with all that done, I can already feel that this box is much stronger already. And now we can start working on each side of the box because we're going to transform this box so that by the time we're done, you won't even recognize it. So what I'm going to do first is work on the two smaller sides of the box. I have some very special paper here. This paper has a self-adhesive backing, which I'll show you. You just need to peel the wax backing off, and then you'll see that at the back of this paper it's sticky. And the reason why I say this paper is special is because it's a mirrored contact paper. I'm going to turn this paper over and peel away a bit of the blue plastic film from the top of the surface of the paper. And take a look at that. This is mirrored contact paper, and it actually reflects just like a real mirror. Now, the quality of the reflection is definitely not as good as real glass mirror, but even with a bit of distortion, this mirror contact paper is pretty awesome. And some of you guys know I normally work with a lot of glass mirrors, but when I was shopping around recently, I found this mirrored contact paper and had to try it out for myself. See how flexible this mirrored contact paper is, and it's thin, and the best part, which I'll show you in a minute, is that I can cut this mirror with a regular pair of scissors. So I've stuck the first piece of mirrored contact paper onto one side of the box, lining up the edges, and as you can see, I was using my hands to smooth out the mirrored paper so there are no air bubbles. Now for my box, I'll need about 2.5 pieces of the mirror paper, but depending on the size of the box that you have, you may need less or more. And that's really the beauty of this mirror paper, is you can cut it to size so easily, as you can see here. You can use regular scissors, or you have a paper cutter like mine. That is exactly what I'm doing. I prefer to use paper cutters because I can get a super straight edge with the paper cutter. And by the way, if you want to try crafting with this mirror paper, check the description box for a link to the mirror paper. I'll also leave links to all my other favorite crafting supply tools and embellishments. So now that I've got both of the smaller sides of this box covered in the mirror paper, we're going to work on the remaining two sides using some hexagon mirrors from the Dollar Tree. For the first mirror, I want to line one side up with the opening of the box so that the edges are flush to each other. But because we're dealing with a hexagon shaped mirror, there's going to be some exposed areas of the box that I'm going to have to cover up. Now, normally I would turn to paint or silver glitter, but this time I'm going to cut smaller pieces of the mirrored paper and use those to cover the exposed areas of the box. I've already decided that I will place two of these hexagon mirrors on each of the remaining sides of this box, so there will be four corners that will need to be covered up. I've already gone ahead and cut the small pieces, and now we'll go ahead and peel the wax backing off each piece and then place one piece on each of the four corners. And you'll notice that one of the corners has a triangular shape while the rest of the corners have rectangular shaped pieces, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter as long as the pieces are big enough to cover the exposed areas of the box. And when one side is done, I'll flip the box and get the other side done in the same manner. Alright, let's go ahead and peel away the blue plastic film from each of the mirror paper tiles. It may be a bit difficult to catch the corners of the blue film unless you have some nails, but I cut all my nails off, so it's a bit difficult for me. I really wish I could have nice nails, but every time I do my nails, they always get ruined the very next day. And that's because I have a really bad habit of using my fingernails as a tool, which I know is really bad, but I just can't help it. I'm constantly crafting, typing, and doing DIY projects around the house. I just don't see how I can avoid it. But I know many of you are crafters as well, so I would be very interested to know whether you have manicured nails or if you're like me and just keep them short and unpolished. Comment down below with the word box and let me know. And if you have any suggestions on how I as a crafter can have nice nails while still doing my DIY projects, I would love it to hear your suggestions. Now with all the blue plastic film removed, I'm noticing that the seams on this box is looking a little rough, but I've got a solution for that. I'm going to take a strip of this self-adhesive rhinestone trim and apply it all along the seams. This trim normally comes in rolls, but I've already cut the width to size, so we'll have 3 rows on either side of the seams. This trim is actually really sticky, so you'll want to work a little slower and make sure that the trim is positioned and placed exactly where you want it. And once it's on completely, it will not only look really pretty, but it will also help keep the box intact even if you decide to place heavy items on top of it or inside it. So once one seam is done, I'll repeat the same exact steps for the rest of the seams on this box. Now with the seams done, let's go ahead and fill this area. I'm going to place 2 of the hexagon frame mirrors on each of the sides that aren't covered yet. But because they are hexagon shaped, we'll still have a couple of exposed areas that we'll still need to cover. So I'm going to go ahead and place a small piece of the mirror paper like so. Then I'm going to flip this box over, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And while I work on this, I'd love to know if any of you have ever crafted with cardboard boxes before. And if you have, comment down below with the word box and let me know what you have made. For those of you who follow me here on my channel, you probably already know what home decor pieces I have made using cardboard boxes. But if you're new to my channel, you'll find lots of really interesting and unique candle holders, floor vases, and storage boxes that I have designed and built all out of old cardboard boxes. And if you're looking for some inspiration for your next craft project, check out my playlist of cardboard box crafts on my channel. Okay, so here I'm just going to pull off the blue plastic before adhering the mirrors to the box. Now, for the mirror, I mentioned earlier that it needs to be lined up flush to the opening of the box. To adhere the framed mirrors to the box, I'm going to be using a combination of Fix-All and hot glue. While the Fix-All will provide a really strong, long-lasting hold, it will take hours to fully cure. So adding hot glue will allow everything to set within seconds, so I don't have to wait till the next day to finish this craft project. So once I have the two top mirrors affixed to the box, I'm just going to double check to make sure each of them are centered properly and aligned flush to the opening of the box. And then for the second mirror, I'll place it directly below with the part of the mirror sticking out beyond the bottom of the box, which will be perfect because that part of the mirror will become the legs for our pedestal. Here I'm using a pencil to mark the back of the mirror so I know where I need to stop applying the glue. But see how the hooks are placed? I prefer that they are not exposed at the back, so I'm actually going to reposition the mirror and then redraw the line. Now I'll go ahead and apply a generous amount of Fix-All and hot glue, making sure I do not go beyond the second line I just drew. Once one side is done, I'll flip this over so I can finish the other side. And this time, I'm actually going to carefully tear out the hooks from the back of this framed mirror instead. I'm going to push down on the mirror to encourage the glue to take hold and also to hold the two mirrors so that there's no gap between them. Okay, so all the glue has set and the mirrors are securely affixed to the box. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to bling out the frames and really bring this pedestal to life. I have these rolls of self-adhesive glass tiles that are going to look stunning. The only problem is that the glass tiles are slightly too small. You can see here they're not quite as wide as the frame, which means I might want to add another embellishment later. But take a look at how beautiful these glass tiles are. The facets on these glass tiles really make our pedestal look so gorgeous and high-end. Notice how there's a gap here? That's because there's not enough room to fit another glass tile, so I'll need to fill this gap in later with a different embellishment. I'm going to grab some of the silver rhinestone trim we used earlier on the seams and cut 8 pieces out to fit them into the gaps. Look how beautiful that looks. And in case you missed it from earlier, links to these glass tiles and rhinestone trim are in the description box. These are actually some of the most favorite embellishments that I love to craft with. They're so easy to work with because they can be cut down to size and they're self-adhesive so you don't even have to mess with any glue. And I'll continue to embellish the sides of these frames with more rhinestone trim. A couple of rows is all we need. Now for the front of the framed mirrors, I'm going to go back in with the same square glass tiles, a row of 11 pieces for each of the 6 sides of the hexagon mirrors. But I'm going to leave a tiny little gap at each corner and fill those gaps with more silver rhinestone trim cut to size. And where the two frames meet, I'll place 2 rows of the glass tiles so the seams can be completely covered. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll fill these small gaps with some rhinestone trim cut to size, and when I'm done, I'll come back to show you. So now I've got the entire front of all the mirrors blinged out. I decided to go back in and place some more glass tiles onto the mirror paper between the 2 mirrors, just to add some more design detail to this pedestal. This step is optional, but if you know me, you know what I always say, the more bling, the better. In fact, let me know down in the comments whether you agree with me. Alright, I think I'm done with the glass tiles. Now I want to show you what the opening of the pedestal looks like. See how the edges are a little messy because I cut off the lid? It looks pretty ugly, so what I'm going to do is add a trim to the opening to hide the ugly edges. I have a string of silver beads that I think will be perfect. The silver beads have a mirror-like finish, so I think they will match the rest of the design of this pedestal. Now, I know some of you may not be a fan of these beads, so if you prefer to add a different trim, feel free to do so. In fact, I would be open to your suggestions if you have other ideas of what I could do to make the opening of this pedestal a little prettier. So leave me some comments down below and give me your suggestions. But for now, I'm going to hot glue these silver beads to the opening and finish up this pedestal. And now for the final step to finish off this pedestal, I'm going to make a new lid for it. I picked up the silver frame picture frame from the Dollar Tree. It's slightly larger than the opening of the box, which will be perfect. What I want to do is disassemble this picture frame by removing the stand. It comes right off with just a gentle tug. Then I'm going to open all the tabs so we can remove the cardboard backing. Next, I'm going to remove the photo that comes with the frame and use it as a template to cut out a piece of craft paper. Here I have some silver glitter contact paper, but you don't have to use this. If you have other types of pretty craft paper on hand, simply use whatever you already have in your stash. Or make a run out to Dollar Tree because they always have some really nice craft paper with the most beautiful designs. You could even use wallpaper. So I've sized out my contact paper, it's cut to size, and now I'm going to slowly remove the wax backing and adhere the glitter paper to the back of the photo. I'll use my hands to smooth out any air bubbles as I gradually remove the rest of the wax backing. And now we're ready to reassemble this picture frame with the silver glitter paper facing outwards to the glass. As a final step, I'm going to add a strip of silver rhinestone trim to the sides of the frame so that this lid we're making out of the frame will match the rest of the pedestal. It's a little design detail that I think will really enhance the overlook of our pedestal. And with the lid done, here's the final look for our pedestal. This pedestal stands almost 3.5 feet tall and can be placed either on the floor, at the base of a fireplace like I have here, or even on a tabletop, which I'll show you shortly. The lid is easily removable so items can be stored inside the box. Then place the lid back on and place a potted plant, some candle holders, or a storage box like this on top. And now here's another look. Completely remove the lid and place some long-stemmed flowers or dried willow branches like I have here to give it a more modern but rustic look. And then here I have it sitting on a console table with some flowers perched on top. It's the centerpiece for my console table, which I think makes this room look so much grander and elegant. If you enjoyed today's craft tutorial, please like and subscribe to my channel and share with other creative gems. Also remember to hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I have another DIY glam project on my channel.